Brent, is there some sort of partnership between the Ponting Foundation and North Melbourne coming up?
There is, yes. Round 1 versus Essendon that will be the start of a 3-year partnership between the Ponting Foundation and North Melbourne Football Club. I think it's good for 2 reasons. Obviously, for our football club to give back a little bit to Ricky and his foundation. Obviously, he's our #1 ticket holder and a very, very loyal supporter and a member for a long, long time now. And the second thing is just a fantastic foundation for us to be involved in. We often get involved in some good foundations and stuff, but this sits right up there. I'm sure Ricky will speak about the foundation a little bit later, but it's fantastic for our football club to support Ricky and his foundation.
Ricky, just what's the sort of partnership entail?
Well, it's firstly on behalf of the foundation. We're delighted that the football club have been able to come on board and help us out with what we're trying to achieve. Every fund and cent and dollar that's raised from the game against Essendon next week will stay here in Victoria. We've got a relationship with the Murdoch Research Institute here in Victoria, and all funds will go straight back into that to help out young families that are going through the battle of childhood cancer. So that's what our foundation's all about. We're really grateful and excited of the 3-year deal that's been struck up, and on game day it'll all be the players have been generous enough to donate a lot of their match worn gear, which will go on auction during the game. So I've done a piece to camera today that'll play on the screen at the ground. There'll be all sorts of things that'll be mentioned in the footy record about some of the items that will be able to be purchased on the day. So we're really excited about not only this week but some of the other initiatives that we'll be able to create down the track with the North Melbourne Football Club and the Ponting Foundation, such as a pretty big initiative that we'll be launching during the West Coast game when we're down in Hobart later in the year. So there's when you're trying to align, whether it's a sporting team and a charity, there's no greater fit for me than the North Melbourne Football Club, and we're very grateful that they've come on board with us.
Brent, I guess you've sort of in Ricky's shoes, but he was not too long ago being a former captain. Did you spoke with Ricky about the advice, the best way to go about it?
Oh yeah, very briefly. We caught up with Ricky this morning, the leadership group, so that was fantastic. Just to probably an experience money can't buy. Speaking to one of the all-time greats of not only Australian cricket but world cricket. Someone that the boys get pretty nervous about meeting. We know he's a Kangaroo supporter, but all the boys love him, so it's fantastic just to have that opportunity to speak to him. And yeah, I spoke to him briefly about the transition and just being that little bit more of a mentor rather than the leader of the football club. And some of the stuff that he spoke about is very, very helpful, and we appreciate him coming down. Oh, definitely. I think, speaking to Ricky, one of the things was you get to sit back and just take it all in now. You're not so much involved, but still being involved in terms of not doing not doing what you were doing. So as if that makes sense. Sorry. So yeah, I think I think it can, because I'll step back now and I'll certainly guide Andrew and the young leadership group through and give them all the feedback that they need and some help along the way. But the leadership group's going to be a fantastic one. I think it's young. We've still got Drew involved as well. So going forward, the boys are going to do a great job. But me personally, I've enjoyed every minute of it since it's happened. You don't have to do all the stuff that you did previously in terms of speaking at all the functions and things like that. So it is a chance with a young family as well. Probably gives me a little bit more time with them. But certainly not to go away from what I do. I love playing football, and I still put 100% into everything I do.
Ricky, what's been the best thing about relinquishing the captaincy, and what is your advice to Boomer about the transition? How it can help?
Well, as we spoke about this morning, I think now that we're not the front, if you like, or the face of the team anymore, it gives us a bit more of an opportunity to sit back and look at things from a slightly different perspective. I think what Boomer was trying to say before was that now that we are probably more mentors than captains, never neglect what you've done as a player, but because you haven't got the extra responsibility that you had as captain, you've got a bit more time on your hands to spend with the younger guys. And when I was captain, certainly the last couple of years of my captaincy, wanting to do the best that I could as a leader and as a mentor was getting very difficult, and there was just not enough time in the day to do everything I wanted to do to the best of my ability. But now that I'm not the captain, to be able to spend, have dinner with guys, have coffee with guys when they first come into the side, just get to know them, a bit more about them away from the actual cricket ground, I think is a really good thing for the whole environment of any team. And that's, the things that we spoke about this morning. I know Brent's already started that and is enjoying that immensely. And at the same time, just having, a bit more of a chance to know the players and probably a bit more time on your own hands, I think can be beneficial to your game as well. So, the important thing with it, as I said to him this morning, is that, just make sure you don't neglect your own game. Make sure you're putting in as much time as you need to get your game 100% right, and then with the spare time you've got at the end of that, make sure you're spreading your time evenly around the rest of the younger blokes.
Just going into the season, does it feel a bit different this year? This time last year, a lot of guys underdone, a few injuries, to Perth twice in the opening month. This time, pretty much full to choose from, and coming up against a team that's probably at a similar stage, you in round one.
Yeah, I guess this time last year, as you mentioned, we only had, at some stages, 28 guys on the training track, and you've only got to look at our team last week, the guys who missed out, Levi Greenwood, Lockie Hansen I think was a little bit underdone. I think there was 5 or 6 guys that should have been, or worthy, Cam Pedersen, who could have been in the team. And unfortunately, it's not a good spot for them, but for our football club it's a fantastic spot because we've never been in a situation before where guys of that calibre are not getting games. So I think that just puts everyone on notice. They've got to perform to be in our team, and that's a great position for our football club. And coming up against a pretty good team in Essendon, as you said, similar stages. They made the 8 last year, we didn't. So we've got a big game on the weekend, and we're looking forward to it. We will refresh this week. No football, which is good, and then a solid week on the track and really get stuck into the Bombers, I hope.
How have you seen some of those younger guys? I mean, have you actually had the chance to sit down and have coffees with a Harper or guys like that? Have you seen their improvement?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, 2 spring to mind: Atley, Harper, Mullet. There's 3. They look fantastic, and they're the guys who we're going to get our most improvement from. We know what we're going to get from Drew and Andrew and Jack and Daniel. These type of guys, we know what we get every single week. But it's the constant improvement of those young guys, the 20 to 22-year-olds who are going to take our club to the next, hopefully the next premiership. And those guys in this pre-season have stepped it up another notch and been fantastic. Super impressed with them all, and you spend a fair bit of time with them because they keep you on your toes as an older guy as well.
Ricky, how do you think Tasmania's going to respond to the presence of North Melbourne this year?
Oh, hopefully it's very positive. I believe it's been positive already. Ticket sales, I believe, for the first game were pretty solid. Memberships were really solid early doors. But I think it's really important that the whole of the state really embraces what the Kangaroos can bring to Tasmania. As we know, Hawthorn have had great success down there with playing the games in Launceston, and I'd like to think that the Kangaroos can have a really similar effect on the south of the state. It's a great venue. It's going to be a great venue to play footy. I'm sure everyone from the club's been down there and had a look around and check things out. And so I'm excited. Hopefully I'll be down there for the West Coast game. Actually, I'll make sure I'm down there for the West Coast game. But to anyone from Tassie that's out there watching, make sure you jump on board and sign up for a membership. And I'm sure you'll see some great footy from the Kangaroos.
What's your prediction this year, Ricky, for the Kangaroos?
Slightly better than last year, hopefully. Look, you know what you're going to get. You're going to get a good, honest performance from the club and the team every season that they go out there. And it seems like every year they're not talked about or not written much about, but they seem to surprise all along the way. And you look at the pre-season this year, even again, the last two weeks of the Bulldogs and Carlton have been, Carlton last week in particular put out a very strong side, and the boys are just a little bit too good. So look, hopefully things get underway with a good win against our arch rivals on Saturday week, and they can build from there. But look, I've thoroughly enjoyed any involvement I've ever had with the footy club, and I love watching these boys do what they do. It's it's one of my great thrills outside of playing cricket, obviously. So I'll be around as much as I can this year.
Ricky had a great summer without the captaincy. Should we blow up on you for the Brownlow? Or?
You can do what you want, mate. I'm there to play my role in the team, and that's to help fast track some of our young guys and as I said, mentor our new leadership group. So I'm hoping my form's still there. I believe I had a fairly good year last year, and I back myself 100% to do it again this year.
What are your observations of Andrew Swallow as an emerging leader?
Well, I don't know Andrew from a bar of soap, to tell the truth. So, and was one of the questions that the guys asked this morning in the leadership meeting was, how I sort of judge opposition cricket captains, and it's a really hard thing to do. You got no idea what they're doing, what they're talking about behind closed doors, and I think the majority of captaincy work, if you like, is done before you actually get onto the playing field. So, but if you look at what he's been able to do and the way he's been able to play his footy for the last few years, he's just looked like one of those guys that would step into a leadership role really well and lead from the front on the field. And if he can have a year similar to last year himself, then I'm sure a lot of the younger guys will toe the line as well and do the right thing by the footy club.
Who do you expect whose gear will go for the most next weekend? Who's jumper?
Well, hopefully this bloke gets 40 touches. If he gets 40 touches, then there'll be a fair bit of money around for his gear. If Drew kicks 7 or 8 goals, then I'm sure there'll be a bit of money for his gear as well. But look, hopefully it's a win. Hopefully there's a lot of great individual performances. Hopefully it's a great team performance. Hopefully the night just goes off really well, and whatever money we raise, as I said, will stay here in Victoria and help some Victorian families and children out. So that's what it's all about.